Hello and welcome back for another episode of the Accessible Technology Podcast with me, Beach now. Sorry for not uploading last week, but the reason I didn't get any out last week was because my throat decided to play up on me and that it went completely dry. And also, away from that, I also got news recently that I have been shortlisted for a couple of jobs in the media, which I am prepping for interviews for. So that's really why I didn't get to upload anything really last week. I will also add in that my throat was still playing up when the majority of this episode was recorded, so that's why you might be able to hear a difference between my voice and the majority of this episode compared to the rest of it. However, the way life gets. But anyway, for those of you who have only just joined this podcast, this is a podcast that is pretty much all about what everyday technologies are accessible for disabled people, as well as covering what everyday technologies aren't accessible for disabled people, and which also sometimes gets into giving tips on how tech companies can keep on making their technology even more accessible, which is something that I have a very big interest in because I am paralyzed from the neck down. In this episode, however, I'm going to be reviewing a couple more games for the customized ASI that I have been testing out. So if you would like to go back and listen to any of the episodes that I have done on all that, then please feel free to do so. There's also a link in the description or episode notes of this episode that will link you to the video that the main bit of audio from this episode comes from, which was uploaded to YouTube on Wednesday, yesterday, by the time this is coming out. So yeah, if you would also like to check out that, then please feel free to go ahead. You can listen to this podcast by searching for it on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, and Spotify. However, if you'd like to support the podcast and the content I produce in other ways, you can also support it by going over to the Phoebes Now Buy Me a Coffee page, which is where you will also be able to find exclusive episodes that aren't part of the podcast, as well as checking out a shop that I plan to open at some stage. But now that I have explained all of that, let's jump straight in to this episode. Number 1. Sega Superstar Tennis. Sega Superstar Tennis is a game which is rated 7 Plus, and which was developed by Sumo Digital and published by Sega. It includes 15 playable characters from across the Sega universe, including Sonic the Hedgehog, I from Super Monkey Ball, Lala of Space Channel 5, and Amigo from Samba the Amigo, as well as Dr. Eggman. However, what makes this game really accessible and really good for anyone with a physical disability is that you can choose whether or not you would like to play the game with the buttons on the DS itself or with touch controls with a stylus, which makes it really accessible overall and really easy to play. Although on a bad note, you might find the directions a wee bit difficult to understand. Number 2, Jack the Ripper. An adventure game developed and published by Virtual Playground. Jack the Ripper is a game that is rated 7 plus and that allows for one player, which puts you at the front of the epic murder mystery tale. Based in the year 1889, you have to help Scotland Yard's detectives solve the crime of the century while visiting famous London landmarks such as Piccadilly Circus, Buckingham Palace, and Whitechapel Lane. But best of all, you play the game completely with the stylus, meaning that you don't have to press that many button controls, so the game should be really accessible for anyone who wants to play it. Number 3, Dual Quest Expeditions. A puzzle game rated 3 plus. Dual Quest Expeditions was developed by Ivan and is published by Avon Quest. It allows 1 to 8 players to play the game and is basically a game where you play as an adventurer called Robert Park as you travel through Africa on a quest to unlock the mysteries of 180 unique dual boards which you have to complete with the stylus or the control pad. The fact that you only have to use the stylus or the control pad for this game makes it really accessible, and personally for me, the fact that it is a gem matching game sort of does give me good relief away from playing Candy Crush, although it has been slightly hard for me to get into. Number 4, Dual Quest. because of the emerald teal. Again, we did 3 plus. Joe Quest Mysteries because of the emerald teal. Is a puzzle game that was again developed by Ivan, but was this time published by GSP and allows for one player. In this edition of the game, it has been combined with the hidden objects that we look for as we play as Rupert and Emma, who are plunged into the land of ancient intrigue in the land of ancient Egypt, where they have to seek out treasures and jewels that have been hidden within stunning gardens and relic-laden palaces. Yet again, this game is played entirely with the touchscreen, which again makes it extremely accessible, but the graphics that you find in this game are also absolutely stunning. So it's something you will enjoy if you have a good eye for art as well. Number 5, Meet the Robinsons. Based off the Disney film of the same name, Meet the Robinsons DS is an adventure game that is rated 7 plus and that was developed by Avalanche and published by Buena Vista, but allows for between 1 to 2 players. The entire game is played with the touchscreen, which makes it very accessible. However, I will admit it did take me a wee while to get the hang of it because some of the moves were really complicated despite it being a touchscreen game. So that's something you will want to be aware of. Nonetheless, you will be able to play through the game without using many buttons, and that includes as you fight or fighting, and that includes as you find out where the bowler hat guy is, as you play through the point of view of Robo Robinson, and as you find out the, the shenanigans that is caused by all of Robo's gadgets that take and how that takes place throughout the story of the game, although it is widely similar to the movie. So it's been a couple of days since I managed to record the beginning of this, but nonetheless, here's my final thoughts on all of the games that I tested in this video on the customized DS. I have found most of them really easy to get into. However, there have been ones that it was more difficult to find my way around. However, what I will say is that all of them are really, really accessible overall. Out of the games that I've tried in this video, I think my favorite one out of all of them would probably be Meet the Robinsons, followed by Sega Superstar Tennis. But all the other ones that I've tried as well are really good overall. It's just that I haven't really got much time to play around with them. But anyhow, let me ask, does anything in this review make you want to try out a customized DSI? Have you had any similar problems accessing games? And if you would like to try out a customized DSI, would you be interested in trying out any of the games I have reviewed in this episode? Or if you do, and you would like to get in contact with the podcast, you can pass on reviews by giving this a review wherever you're listening to it on, as well as via the contact pages over on my PL Tech Reviews website or over on my Phoebes Now or phoebelow.com website, which is where I do more journalism stuff. If you would like to pass the podcast on to anyone, you can do so by just searching for the Accessible Technology Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, and Spotify. But of course, there is also the Buy Me a Coffee page again, and that's where you'll be able to find some exclusive episodes of this podcast that aren't actually part of it. Plus, you'll have the opportunity to give me a one-time donation. But if you would also like to support me on my socials, you can do so by going over to Twitter, or X as it is now, and searching for @Phoebes Lyle and contacting me through there. Or you can also do it by just searching for the real Phoebes Now on Instagram and contacting me through that. That you can also check out the YouTube channels by just searching for Phoebes Now Journalism to find my journalism channel, where I upload accessible tourism reviews as well as film, TV, theatre reviews, and some breaking tech news and political videos as well, or by just searching for PL Tech Reviews, which is the tech channel. The next few episodes are going to be all Apple based, starting off with a review of macOS Sonoma. I will then move on to reviewing iOS 17 for the iPhone and iOS 17 for the iPad, and then there'll be a couple more episodes after that will touch on tutorials and what to do when you want to do stuff when the new versions of iOS, and I'll also make time to react to the Apple event that is taking place on the 12th of September. But honestly, guys, those episodes might have to wait for a wee bit because I am super busy. Anyway, thanks for listening to the episode. If you have made it all the way to the end, and please make sure to pass it all on if you think someone else would enjoy it. Bye!